So it says go live now.
Okay.
Should be good to go, I think.
Great. Okay, so welcome everybody. Lovely to see so many people. Got 26 here. There may be some on YouTube. Who knows? And welcome to anybody who is coming in onto this meditation evening on YouTube. So basically what we're going to do, we're going to have a short sit just to kind of get into our bodies and so on. Then I'll talk for a little while about the evening, what we're going to do. And then at that time, somewhere between 10 to 8 and 8 o'clock, the YouTube broadcast will end. We'll have a cup of tea or whatever it is you want to drink for 10 minutes. And then after that, we'll go into breakout groups of 3s or 4s, talk about how we got on with it or whatever you want to talk about. And then we'll have a session at the end, a plenary. And if we got questions, we'll do that. And if not, we'll just have a last sit. So just in general terms, I want to introduce the whole concept of this series. This series, I don't know how long it's going to go on for, hopefully for a good while. Going to have these weekly meditation Monday nights. And the whole idea was an idea I felt that often at centers rather than at the retreat centers, meditation can get a bit stuck, to be honest. I remember this many years ago myself. I learned the initial very, very strong, very valuable practices of mindfulness of breathing and metta bhavana. And then I kind of, a few years after that, I lost my way a bit, and they were still very good, very valuable for me. But I lost some momentum, and I found that's happened to a lot of people. And there are a lot of other angles to meditation. Meditation's my thing. I really enjoy meditation, different types. And I've got a lot of enjoyment and deeper meditation experience by going to Vajraloka, the North Wales meditation retreat center. So I wanted to bring some of that to you, but it's not my show. The point is really what I wanted to do is have experienced meditators from the movement who have a real passion for any particular area of meditation. So it's not that it's going to be all about one thing. In fact, we're going to have all sorts of things. In fact, I'm quite happy that any experienced meditator who's interested in a particular type of meditation brings that forward. And some of those will be one-offs. Quite a few of them will be one-offs. And some of them will be little series, I think. It depends what they want to do. So just to give you an idea, as far as I know so far, so that's the scope, if you like. So they'll be very different. They'll be very varied. Only the first 2 weeks will be me, and then maybe some more. I'll do some later in the series. So we've got, for example, a Sona, who used to be the president of the Manchester Centre and one of the founding directors of Breathworks. He would like to do a couple of evenings on mindfulness in a particular way. An old friend of mine, Satchichitta, who not so many people know at the centre, and he was one of my early teachers, and he's very much into the bodhicitta practice and Tonglen, the giving and receiving breathing practice. Some people, again, will have done this, some people not. So he'd like to lead that. Dayaka, who's sitting here in the middle of my screen, does a lot of work with the Reggie Ray's type of body-based practice and so on. He knows a lot more about it than I do. I'm not going to describe it. There's some very valuable practices that I use from Reggie Ray as well, earth breathing and 360-degree experiencing and so on. And he's got lots and lots of deep practices. So Dayaka is happy to lead some of those. Maharshada wants to lead some more visualizations of different sorts. So he'll probably do that on some of these Monday nights. Dayanandi, hopefully in the future, she would like to come and do some, and Vilasavadra even. Many of you, probably most of you don't know Vilasavadra. He's also works for Breathworks, a very deep meditator. Who knows? We might get Tej Pushpa to come back and do one as well after her very successful weekend. So that's the plan, and let's see what happens. Let's just see what happens. Okay, so let's have a short settling down meditation, probably 5 to 10 minutes, no more, and getting into our bodies. Then I'll give a short talk and then we'll do the main meditation. So just finding somewhere comfortable. And closing your eyes if you wish to, and of course you don't have to. In fact, some of these meditations that we might be teaching later on, I really recommend leaving your eyes open, or at least later on in the meditation, not at the beginning. So, but for most of us now, closing our eyes. Just coming into relationship with where you are right now. The room you're in, the house you're in, and so on. Just basic, obvious awareness of your surroundings. And setting the intention, spend this 1 hour or 1.5 hours investigating meditation in one way or another. So as much as possible, we can put past and future thoughts out of the way, as much as we can do that, of course. Just dedicating this period to meditation. And coming into our bodies and feeling our weight on the chair or the seat, whatever you're sitting on. Just relaxing to the amount that you can at the moment, just as much as you feel capable of relaxing. And letting go, just letting go of physical holding on and also mental holding on if possible. Nothing to do. Relaxed, open, aware, and as much as possible present. That feeling, just being wholly here, or as much as we can. Continuing to feel the weight of your body, pressure on the seat, pressure of your feet either on the seat or on the ground. Relaxing your facial muscles. No need to hold an expression. We hold expressions all day long. We don't need to now. Moving down into your shoulders. Letting them fall naturally under their own weight. Hold so much stress in our shoulders. Maybe even letting your shoulder blades drop if you can do that. Bringing attention down your arms, past the elbows. Just resting on your hands for a moment. We'll be talking about direct experience later. Hands are a great way to experience directly. Imagine your hands are doing the awareness. They're just there, open, aware. You have those experiences of touch and warmth and so on. All present in our hands, which are alive with nerve endings and very sensitive. And bringing tension to the area around your heart. Good to check that the shoulders are back a little and the chest is open. Makes us feel more positive and more confident. And maybe we feel our emotions there to some extent. You can just feel into that without analysing the emotions. You can just go, how am I right now? Probably a real mix of emotions. Moving on down the front of the body, just making sure your stomach muscles are relaxed. It's another area where we hold tension. Just letting them relax. Letting go of holding on in the body. Back down into the whole pelvic area and the bones pressing down on the seat. Noticing what that pressure, that weight pressure is like. Perhaps noticing that you can't really tell where you end and the chair begins. There's just a mass of sensations. Down into the upper part of the legs, the big muscles in the thighs. Just imagining them lengthening and relaxing. The knees, the calves and the shins of the lower leg. Ankles. Down to your feet. Taking time to experience the difference between the part of the foot that may be touching a surface, chair or the floor, and the part of your foot that isn't. Many, many perceptions arising in awareness from our feet. All sorts of different kinds. Now lastly, bringing attention to the base of the spine. Slowly moving up the back. Some areas may have no particular feeling. Others you may feel your clothing, for example, on your skin. Moving up the vertebrae. Back up to the base of the skull. Just letting go into the whole body. Feeling that sense of solidity, touch, temperature, etc. Just stay like this for another minute or so. And then I'll ring the bell, the bowl, to bring this short meditation to an end. Nothing to do. Just being present. Oh, that's good. I can see you all moving. So that does mean that ringing the bowl, the singing bowl actually does work. I don't worry that I can hear it and you can't. Obviously you can. That's good. Okay. So I find really that, to me, absolutely central to, actually central to all meditation is really getting to grips with the idea of and experiencing direct experience. It's really important to be able to see the difference between direct experience and experience that is mediated by mind. So where does this fit? For example, in our system of practice, in the Triranda's system of practice, this fits clearly into the area of receptivity. And that receptivity can be described as just sitting, simply being, or pure awareness even. It goes all the way up to pure awareness. All those practices would probably sit in that area, although those also connect with Vipassana or insight meditation as well. So what are we doing? We're trying to experience reality more directly. So the problem is our mind, I'm often thinking about this, our minds are always overlaying everything with a mental story, really. Sometimes that's verbal and sometimes not. I've just got a couple of good examples of this, I think. One is, I notice, and I've discussed this with others, so I'm not alone, that when we meet people, for example, people we know, it's so hard to meet the actual person. So especially if you know someone quite well, you've probably got a few likes, you've got a few dislikes going on there. You know, even friends, there are bits that might irritate you. That's just natural. So you're meeting them, and you're often meeting largely, a lot of what you are experiencing is your mental picture that you've already formed. And, you know, your best friend might be standing in front of you and you're chatting away and you're not really taking in the fact that today they're rather sad. Or that can happen, especially with somebody, say there's somebody who you would put in the fourth section of the Metta Bhavana, for example, who you find rather difficult. It's really difficult to meet them as they actually are here and now, because you've got a story going on. Oh, I don't really like them. Oh, they're irritating. Aren't they irritating? Or, oh, I don't like what they're saying. You haven't even heard what they're saying. So this is one case where the mind is often overlaying everything with its own conceptualization, really. But I had another great example of this. I was driving with my partner, Karen Atara, up for a lovely day in Yorkshire recently. I'm driving out the M61 north out of Manchester. And the motorway was entirely lined with trees in sections. It was a lovely sunny day. It's entirely lined with trees. And I noticed I was tensing up. And I thought, this is weird. What's happening? You know, because this motorway could be anywhere. Honestly, it could be in another country. There'd certainly be a motorway anywhere in England. But what was happening I knew I was getting towards the soap factory where I worked for 30 years. And I just knew this, and it was somehow overlaying my entire experience, which is very, very strange because the motorway looked like any other motorway. I couldn't have told that that was that route, but I knew. So it's basically I was distorting my direct experience with this story. So we tend to label everything. This is a real problem, isn't it? Everything is labeled. And thinking actually is also, this is just in a way a collection of ideas about this sort of thing. Thinking is very slow. So when you look at very clear, pure awareness, if you label things, so if I go, even if I cut it down and don't use the word sensation, so if I say sensation in my toe, so let's say toe, finger, scalp, thought, sound. Even if I do that really, really, really fast, you can't be very open to many things. It's quite slow. If you really, really relax and let go into awareness, into direct experience, there are hundreds of perceptions arising and passing all the time. And it's a real eye-opener to see what that is like. And that's what's actually happening to us. Now, of course, in Buddhism, as you all know, we think of there as being 6 senses. Not in some weird, spooky way, 6 senses, but in the sense that there's the 5 physical senses, and also into awareness arises mind objects, i.e., usually that's thoughts. So that's absolutely a fascinating area of investigation, which I really encourage anybody to do. Yeah, they're vocalized thoughts. Sure, there are, they're actual thoughts, but there's loads of other stuff going on too. So it's a really, really interesting investigation to look into what your mind is doing at any one time. So I'll lead through, we'll go right into the senses. We'll take them really open to the senses, relaxing, letting go. Relaxing and letting go is really important in this, because the more you cling on to a tight feeling of what you are or what's happening and so on, the less you open to the senses properly, the less you open to awareness. But then you can see thoughts. And then with a bit of luck, and it doesn't matter if you don't experience it, you may have periods where there isn't any obvious vocalized thought going on. You may be said, there's Tejananda teaches you either look for a gap between the thoughts, that's one way, or you look, if that doesn't work for you, you look straight at a thought and it tends to disappear for a short while. Now, it doesn't last long, so grab the opportunity if you happen to experience this. But then what's going on? So that's really interesting. Is there nothing there? Is it now the 5 senses? Well, generally it doesn't feel like that. It feels like there's still other stuff that the mind is doing on a sub-vocalized thought level. I've got very little to say about that. I tend to call them sub-thoughts, but there's all sorts of things going on. Another example, fascinating experience you can look into is if you get into a very calm state, open to all the senses, try looking at what emotion is like. I mean, what is emotion? What is it? For me, most emotions, I suppose, I feel in my chest. So it could be a little tightness to my chest, perhaps. That implies it's a negative emotion, but it could still be there in some way. So that's the physical bit. But why is there a feeling that there's a little air of sadness or something, or whatever the experience is? What is that? Where is that? So these are just interesting things to look into. So meditation is about becoming more and more aware. Now you might be, yes, I want to just distinguish here between, hopefully later on in the course, we'll also, in these Monday nights, we might do some investigating dhyana. not something we do very much in our normal basic practices, but dhyana is a really, really positive state of higher awareness, of change of consciousness, should I say. But it's very different. That is an absorption into a very, very precise area of experience. This, when you're going into direct experience and much more pure awareness, open awareness, you're just opening to what is, and you're trying to become completely open to everything that is available to you. All the perceptions are rising and passing. And the wonderful thing is, as we do this, and as you'll see, and as I'll mention as we go along, you'll notice that they're always changing. Everything is changing. And you're not in control of any of them. So we all know that in most cases. So, for example, if I listen to noises right now, oh, there's a bird singing. Well, I'm clearly not in control of that. I could shout at the bird, I suppose, and shut it up for a minute, but it wouldn't last very long. It would come and it would go. Sounds come and go. We all know that. So that the sounds are changing all the time, even the steady sounds. So I'm sitting in front of a PC here, sadly not in front of the real you, so to speak, in the front of a PC. And there's the humming of the PC, of the fan. Well, that sounds pretty solid, doesn't it? Pretty continuous. But it's not. So it could be really, really steady. But what do I actually perceive? Well, what I perceive is slight variation. That's my mental state. That's all sorts of audio focusing. I'll try this one sometime. Try looking at a completely blank wall, if you've got one anywhere, and just sit and look at it and saying, well, is that changing? Does that change? No. The first thought is, no, it doesn't change. But you keep looking and you'll notice that it is always changing. Why? Well, it's our perception of it that's changing. And after all, that's all you have. I'm not saying the wall isn't there, by the way. Don't worry that your house is going to fall down. I'm not making any comments about the wall. The point is your perception and your mental, how that arises in awareness is changing all the time. So, for example, if you do look at a blank wall, even better a white one, but you'll notice there's slight changes in color. They're very slight changes in focus all the time. The focus is coming in and out, and not to mention, little things going across your eyes. So everything's changing all the time. And this is how we really, really get to experience reality with these type of this type of awareness. And really, I want to say finally, before we start doing this, that it can be very pleasurable. It can be a feeling of real liberation can arise from completely letting go. It's partly you are becoming one with it. Becomes the subject object, the feeling of me decreases, it softens. You're becoming the experience. So just to use this example I often give, I think often we think of ourselves as a fragile bottle hurtling down a busy river or stream. And we're dodging rocks and things, knowing that we'll shatter to pieces if we hit any of them. But if you can think of yourself just as you are part of the stream, there's not something there that is an object and the stream and life is flowing past you and around you. You are the life. You are the flow of experiences. You just are the flow of experiences. Then you can relax into that in a way. Not always, of course. All sorts of difficult things happen, but it certainly helps to get used to these sort of practices. And lastly, last thing I want to say is that I don't know about you, but thinking can be rather overrated, I think. Oh dear, I shouldn't have said that, should I? Thinking can be so overrated. A lot of what we think is actually pretty much rubbish. It's prapancha, as we use this Buddhist word. It's mental proliferation. We go over things, we repeat them and so on. It's really tiring. It's exhausting. We come back to it. We worry about the same point again. We look at it from another angle. What is the point? So this is not, I am in no way trying to denigrate thinking. Direct thinking is an amazing ability that human beings have. I have no other idea whether other animals have it or not, but we surely have it. Very useful. You actually have an object that you want to think about, an idea, and you put some effort into it and you apply whatever method you want to that. The problem is the rest of the time when we're just thinking about stuff all the time and it just keeps rolling over. And therein lies secondary suffering. Thinking of the future and thinking of the past brings a lot of suffering. And I mean everything from, in the true Buddhist meaning of dukkha, everything from just dissatisfaction, a feeling of unease, right the way through to excuse me, right the way through to real mental suffering, lies in this, planning for the future. Of course, we have to plan sometimes. There's nothing wrong with that. But continually thinking to the future, continually thinking to the past. So it's a very valuable state to be able to experience just being in the flow of experience and in the flow of thought. And the more you practice it, the more you begin to get this ease, this liberation that comes with it. Not that I'm saying it's easy, I'm not. And by the way, this practice can be taken a lot longer, a lot further, and perhaps that's what we'll do next week. Let's see where we get to. Okay, that's quite enough chat, or should I say talk, in my case. So let's settle down and get ready to do we're going to work our way through the senses one by one and try and experience pure flow of rising and passing perceptions. We're going to be meditating for 20 minutes or so, somewhere around there. At some point further into this, I might ask you if you wish to open your eyes. It's a bit difficult when we're looking at screens. So if I do that, I look above the screen. But you don't have to. It is more difficult to do. Okay. So settling down as before. Just letting go into the support of the seat, whatever you're sitting on. Giving up your weight, giving up to the support of the seat and right through the ground into the earth. Let the earth support you. Earth is solid, vast, ancient. We can really feel grounded in it. Relaxing the body as much as you can at the moment. Some people relax easily, others not. That's fine. And again, trying to let go of anything you might be holding on to, both physically or mentally. Just relax and let go. Now let's bring our attention to sound, into awareness, arises and passes perceptions of sound. So in a direct experience, we don't need to label them. We don't need to put them in categories. You can even relax out of finding positioning. You don't need to know whether they're in front, behind, etc., outside, inside. You may not be able to help that happening at first. That's all right. So see if we can just let sound arise and pass, in the knowledge that it's always changing and not in our control. There'll be more obvious, grosser examples. You can hear my voice. And there'll be very subtle examples, intermingling with others. The more you relax, the more instances or perceptions of sound appear and disappear in awareness. Neither pushing sounds away nor grasping onto them. And now let's also allow in the sense of taste. Might seem a little dull, undistinguishable. There's always some sort of taste in the mouth. See if you can keep awareness open to the sense of taste and the sense of sound. sounds and taste perceptions unmediated by mind. It's the perceptions we want, experiencing, not the mental descriptions of them. That's just thinking. Now we bring in sense of smell. It's not very developed in most humans. We might not smell anything at all. Or there might be subtle aromas. Just let them in, into awareness. Now bringing in the sense of sight, which is you can do with your eyes closed or open. It's easier with your eyes closed for now. Noticing how the perceptions keep arising and passing and changing. And as with the other senses, not in our control. Just relaxing into that flow. Now let's bring in the sense of touch. It's very rich. And temperature in your skin, strain, pressure, weight, etc. The more you let go and relax into it, the more tens, even hundreds of little perceptions from throughout the body can arrive in awareness and disappear. If you wish, you could even scan up and down the body very rapidly, just briefly. I wouldn't keep doing that. Just to experience them coming in from all parts of the body. The less you label, the more you can experience in any period of time. So now we're open to all the 5 physical senses. If you feel sufficiently relaxed and open, what is arising in awareness from the mind? You may get caught up in a train of thought, in which case best to come back to the other senses. If not, can you see thought appear and disappear? Can you see brief experiences of no thought? Or no vocalized thought anyway. Just staying relaxed and open, not tightening up. Just simply being, not doing. Just sitting with expansive, open awareness. Maybe you find this liberating, maybe not. Maybe it's quite enjoyable to just be fully open to experience, not controlling it, just being it. Just staying in this state, relaxed and open for another 1 to 2 minutes. And I'll ring the bell. Slowly come back into the room and open our eyes at that point. being totally present to your experience. Well, it's a peaceful way to spend a Monday evening. So, 4 minutes to 8. So for us on Zoom, let's have a break till about 8:05. And for anybody on YouTube, thank you for attending. And this will be the end of the YouTube broadcast. And do please come back in the next week. Okay, see you all in at 5 past.